What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing out here today on this Tuesday? How's everybody doing? Mythic, man, what's going on, brother, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Get my tongue tied. I'm doing pretty good, my man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Can't complain. Obviously, talking some Arizona Cardinal football today. We're 0-1 right now. We got a lot of things to talk about still. We want to kind of dive into the Jets versus Bills Thursday night football game. I just want to say good for the Jets, but we're going to dive into that a little later on, or I guess first topic, and then we're going to talk about some Cardinals because we got some breaking news about Joshua Dobbs. I guess it won't be breaking news, but Joshua Dobbs does get the nod for week 2. We'll dive into that as well. And then we'll talk about the divisions for the NFC West and how it's shaken out so far. So let's dive right into it first, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Jets versus the Bills. What was your take on this game? Did you actually get a chance to watch it?
I did. And the first 4 plays, obviously, if you're a New York Jets fan, it sucks. Aaron Rodgers goes down. He had pressure on him the entire 4 plays he was in the game. Right tackle, Mekhi Becton goes low. Greg Rousseau beats him. And then, again, another pressure play, and Aaron Rodgers ends up popping his Achilles. It sucks. But somehow, some way, through adversity, the Jets did find a way to win that game with Zach Wilson behind center. So you gotta give him props. I mean, that's a huge win for the New York Jets, but man, that sucks.
Yeah, good for the Jets in terms of the win, but man, what a terrible, terrible loss. Now, obviously, we all kind of suspected that this was going to be the news that we're going to get, this morning, and obviously Ian Rappaport came out here and said quarterback Aaron Rodgers does in fact have a torn Achilles, and the MRI has confirmed he's out for the season, just 4 snaps. Like, what a heartbreaker for the Jets, right? They were coming out here, tried to contend. I'm glad that they won still. Like, I have nothing against the Buffalo Bills. Like, none of these 2 teams I have anything against. It's just, I feel bad for the Jets because they almost kind of feel like us. You know what I mean?
Just poverty forever. I mean, they're in the same situation.
It's crazy. So good for them, but definitely very, very unfortunate for the Jets. Let's dive into what everybody's really here to talk about. And let's talk about Cardinals naming Joshua Dobbs QB number 1 heading into week 2. Now we got a clip here from Jonathan Gannon, our head coach. Now it's crazy because on week 1, it was a big mystery, right? Wanted to get that competitive advantage. This week, he flat out said, Joshua Dobbs is going to start. Let's dive into it.
How do you see your quarterback situation going forward? Will you stick with Josh?
Yeah. I'm excited about seeing what he does this week.
All right. Simple as that. Joshua Dobbs gets the nod for week 2. Now, we did mention this. Now, I think we all kind of know, or at least the people on my channel here know what I want. But at this point, there's no point of beating a dead horse. Let's see what Joshua Dobbs can do right in week 2. And we all hope that we're going to go on that extra step because we got the New York Giants, the first home game here for week 2 versus the Arizona Cardinals. How's your thoughts with Joshua Dobbs being QB1?
I'm not entirely mad at it. I think it's pretty predictable. We kind of assumed last video we made that he was going to be named QB1. Clayton Tune probably still not where they need him to be in terms of NFL ready. Who knows? But at the end of the day, we would like to see him. But I mean, hey, just like Jonathan Gannon said, let's see what Josh Dobbs has, man. Week 2, 3rd week. He's almost at a month with the team. So
crazy.
We'll see what he's got.
Well, that's kind of, I guess, telling, right? Telling on what type of season we're having as Cardinal fans is, like I said a little earlier. I mean, as long as I want to just see a competitive game, and we saw that. So, we can't be too harping on the negativity, although we would have loved to get the win. I think in the grand scheme of things, this was kind of a win in Cardinals' eyes because of how that defense played. That defense played very, very ferocious.
Insane.
Yeah. We got somebody in the chat says, I miss Kyler Murray. No, I
do too.
Yeah,
I think we all do.
We do. We all miss Kyler Murray. I'm curious to figure out when he is going to come back. Now, obviously, Jonathan Gannon did come out and say that he's not going to sit out this season. But if we do start off 0-4 and he comes back on week 5, but still can't play week 5 because he's still trying to, get accumulate, and we might see him in week 6. Dang, that's going to be such a tough pill to swallow for Kyler Murray to try to bring this team back. Do you think realistically we might go 0-4?
I don't know. We do have a tough 2 games after this, but the New York Giants looked horrible against Dallas. That defense ate them up. And if the Cardinals can come out and reciprocate some kind of energy that we had last week, I think this is a realistic win. I don't remember who the other 2 opponents are, but if I'm not mistaken, we play the 49ers, and that's scary. So That's going to be a tough one. So if we
Yeah.
can at least snag this win, I'll feel a lot more confident because the Giants are definitely beatable. I think we
Yeah,
both
no,
agree
no,
on that.
definitely. We'll talk about the division a little later on, as well as who's the next opponents here for the Arizona Cardinals. But yeah, just for the sake of time here, let's stick with the Giants here. I think you said it right? I think this is a winnable game. Now, coming into the season, we didn't think that. We thought it was the polar opposite. We thought that this was going to be the
Yeah.
tough game, and then the Commanders was winnable. But seeing what the Giants has, kind of put in display so far in Week 1 versus the Cowboys, now I guess this is going to be telling. Like, is it the Cowboys defense just being that good? Or is it the Giants just being crap, right? It's going to be the biggest question heading into Week 2 for the Cardinals. So it's going to be a tough task for our defense, but I would hope for a repeat for sure.
Absolutely. We'll take 40-0. We'll take 20-7. As long as we're on the winning side, I don't care what the score is. We can win by 1. We can win by 7. As long as we win at the end of the day, I'm happy.
Yeah. No, that's true. I think that's kind of what we all want to see. Daniel Jones, obviously, last game didn't have a good game. Let me bring up the stats here. I'm not even sure exactly. I just know it was a beatdown. Like,
he went 15 for 28 with 104 yards and 2 interceptions.
Oh man, Josh Dobbs had a better game than that. Come on.
He did. Josh Dobbs bringing the money trucks. I mean, Daniel Jones got it. Why can't Josh Dobbs,
Wow. Wait, say those stats one more time for Daniel Jones.
15 of 28 passing, 104 total yards passing with 2 interceptions and 0 touchdowns.
That's wild. What's Saquon Barkley do?
12 attempts for 51 yards. And then Daniel Jones had 13 attempts for 43 rushing.
Really?
Huh. Dallas shut them up.
Wow.
That's embarrassing.
Since you're looking at the stats, what did Dallas do? I know there was a lot of forced like defensive plays. Was there like a lot of interceptions and fumbles? I'm assuming.
Let's look at the defense for Dallas. Dallas had 2 interceptions and then 1, 2, 3 forced fumbles.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, they're beatable.
Crazy. Yeah, they're definitely beatable because the Dallas offense didn't do anything this game, like at all. Dak went 13 of 24, 143 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Tony Pollard had 14 carries, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then CD 4 receptions, 77. That's about it. There's nothing that really pops out. Tony Pollard's 2 touchdowns, but outside of that, there's about 200 accumulated yards right there. That's nothing. That's nothing.
Crazy.
We were complaining about our quarterback having like 100 and something passing yards, and then Dak Prescott comes out here and they won with like about the same stats. So it's it's crazy. The defense stepped up for them. So
well, I mean, I guess that's pretty telling though, right? Like in terms of like this was a winner, like this last week was a winnable game for the Cardinals. Like let's be honest, it was, and it all kind of came down to like 1 or 2 plays in the bottom line. Like I know you mentioned the fact that for some reason when we were talking, I completely forgot that Ertz could have got a touchdown. Either it was too high or it just went through his hands, whatever it is. If that touchdown was there, we're looking at a realistic maybe 1-0 start for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. At least overtime.
Here we go. Got our first contribution here. We actually got a Giants fan up in the house. What's up, brother? He says, we will take out our frustrations on you guys. Whoa. Okay.
That's bold.
That's very bold. Well, let's talk about this here real quick, right? Because there's something to be said about a team that obviously got embarrassed on primetime and really putting their full efforts. I'm not saying they didn't put their full efforts against the Cowboys, but there is something to be said about a team really kind of coming in and turning it around, right? Actually focus on all the details. Do you see something like that happen for the Giants? I mean, so far it doesn't look so good.
It could. Do I see it happening? No, I really don't. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than people think because last week was competitive as well. Now, did I think going into this that the Giants were better than us? Absolutely. If we didn't see what happened last week, I would have said the Giants are going to crush us. But after watching both teams play, I don't think they're going to come in here and stomp all over us. Daniel Jones, I just don't think he has it. Yeah. I really don't.
Well, I agree with you. I think with the whole situation of the Cardinals going to lay down, right, for all of these games, because everybody's got that, impression
imprinted in their head.
Yeah, because of this national media saying that we're tanking. Like, we're not tanking. We might not win a lot of games, but like our defense truly wants to come out here and compete, and we saw that against the Commanders, which, Sam Howell didn't have the best game, but Daniel Jones, like, no disrespect, like he got paid. Did he just get paid, right?
Yeah, he got paid a fat bag.
Yeah, no disrespect to him, but like I don't think he's
worth that.
Great. I mean that's coming from a Cardinals fan, so it's kind of hard to really kind of put that and compare to obviously that. But this game is going to be telling here for the Cardinals, right? It can either be 1-1, which will completely change the whole narrative of the Arizona Cardinals heading into Week 3, because then after this game, it's the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Okay, the Cowboys,
which aren't easy, but it definitely something to be said about maybe Joshua Dobbs taking that extra step. We didn't see James Conner have a bulk, but he obviously he had the most of the carries for the Arizona Cardinals, but we didn't see him have an outstanding game. That could definitely turn around maybe this game. Now, one thing I did notice for the Giants, their offensive line didn't look that great.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So maybe our defense will lead again, our defensive line, because we had 6 total sacks?
6 sacks. So it's definitely reciprocatable, honestly. Like if the Giants, because I think the Commanders line isn't great. I'm not a fan of most of the offensive lines in that division. Then you got the Cowboys and the Eagles, but the Giants and the Commanders just don't got good lines. So the Cardinals really shocked us. They shocked everybody because I thought that was a weak spot as a D line. And they came out here with 6 sacks, and you're going to go up against that Giants line that's not that great. I'm not saying 6, but somewhere in that like 4 range is very possible. I think we can get to the quarterback.
I agree. 3 to 4 seems pretty realistic with who we have. And I think the beauty of what is not talked about a lot is the fact that we got so much young talent, right? We got Gardick. I always want to call him
J.O. Jalari. Victor Dimakiji.
Yeah. Or is it Dimakiji? Or I don't know how to say his name.
I don't know.
You know who we're talking about.
Yeah. 52.
yeah. So we have these players on there which are interchangeable. So like, which means that like they don't have to be on their full 100%. So we can bring in fresh people, right? Fresh legs every once in a while to make sure that can kind of work out for the Cardinals' advantage. But yeah, Cam Thomas, Victor
Sanders, if he's going to play, we got BJ Ojolari, and then obviously some veterans like Dennis Gardick. We got Zaven Collins, the best outside linebacker, apparently. I mean,
how fast our tune has changed, right? That's crazy. No, yeah, I think this is going to be a telling game, honestly. I would love to kind of get the like an outside perspective, because obviously for us, I think we're all kind of licking our chops because we saw how bad the New York Giants looked. Now, granted, it was a division game. We know well that even regardless of how bad your team is, division games are still tough, right? Like I host an NFC West network roundtable, and I kind of confronted one of my 49er guys on there because he was talking all sorts of mess. But like the year we had Josh Rosen, yes, let me say that again, the year we had Josh Rosen, we swept the 49ers. Like that's how crazy these division games are. So you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen. So it might have been one of those situations where they'll clean it back up. But being a Cardinal fan, I'm pretty optimistic heading into week 2.
As we should be, I think 40-0. I mean, there's only one way to look, and we performed pretty well, and they didn't. So unless we didn't see something, and Giants fans help us out if we didn't, but looking at 40-0, there's not many positives. So I'm very happy with the way week 2 is looking.
Giants fans, I'm not sure if you kind of, go into the rabbit hole of, looking at people's reactions towards, when the games are over, but Giants fans are not happy. They were disgusted. They were embarrassed of what happened on prime time for them. And rightfully so. They did not look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy with the 40-0 either.
For sure.
I feel you.
We got another contribution coming. No fluff. AZ, what's up, brother? He says, Kazir White is our next Adrian Wilson. He's nasty. I love that. I love that comparison.
It's not bad. I don't know if he's going to live up to A-Dub, but I mean, with the competitive spirit and like the ability to just like, I'm going to hit you.
Yeah.
He's flying all the way around the field. Like Kaiser White is a dog. And I said this on my channel a while back. I love the way he plays. Super high motor, super fast, goes from point A to point B. He'll attack the ball. He's always involved somehow. Kaiser White flies, dude. I love the way he plays.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things where obviously that crucial penalty that kind of was costly for the Arizona Cardinals. But like if he could kind of, I'm not saying allow him to get loose, right? Like that's how you're, obviously a football player. You know what you're doing more than fans do. But just kind of have that in your mind just a little bit that, just be careful. Be careful with these
Yeah.
quarterbacks because flags are so friendly when it comes down to these quarterbacks, especially what happened to Aaron Rodgers. Man, that's going to kill Jets fans. Like, there's some Jets fans that are still optimistic because they're thinking of they're going to get a new quarterback. Their team looks good. Their defense looks good. I'm not going to lie. That defense looks
phenomenal.
So good. And hopefully one day JG can get us to that level where we're just so dominant because Josh Allen looked like a shell of himself.
Yeah. How many picks did he have? 3? And they're all to like one person, I believe.
Yeah.
I think one person had
from some guy named Whitehead.
Yeah. Jordan Whitehead, I believe.
Yeah. So I think it was a total of 4, if I'm not mistaken, though.
4? It might have been. I know it's 3-1, which is crazy.
Insane. So, yeah, I mean, definitely some promises here for the Arizona Cardinals kind of moving forward, right? I think that's the best things we can do at this point because I know there's a lot of Cardinal fans. Like, I even have family and friends that are just not tuned in this year. Yeah. And I don't get it. Like, there is still something to be said about watching these games because of these young guys, right? Or these new additions, like Kazir White.
And we even have even the people we picked up on waiver, Kavah Wallace looked great. We have BJ Ojolari, Paris Johnson. Like, even if you're not looking into it, Paris Johnson played pretty well in pass pro.
Yeah.
I mean, we have talent. Like, I know we're not going to be ultra competitive like every single game, but we're not going to come out here and lay down for everybody. So, I mean, there's reasons to tune in, watch players take steps, watch players develop. Like, there's more to being fantastic every season, especially if you're a Cardinals fan. You got to get what you got to get, even if it's developmental players.
Yeah. True. All I know is bright future, ahead. Maybe not this year, but I think this year is really, really important to still watch these young guys flourish. Like, I still want to see from Michael Wilson. We haven't really sold that much yet, but that's going to be attributed to obviously targets. He doesn't have the ball in his hand every snap, right? So that's not really his fault. I want to see more Michael Wilson because I do feel like he's going to be the bright spot of this draft. But let's be honest. I think so far, with the exception of the first round pick, Paris Johnson Jr., Keitrell Clark, bro, he held it down, right?
As a rookie, stepping up into the CB2 spot is not an easy task. We saw Marco kind of do it last season or 2 seasons ago, whenever it was, and he looked pretty solid. But Keitrell Clark has a chance to legit be – he might even be CB1 by the end of the year. Ooh. I'm not 100% sure, but he has a legit chance. Like, obviously, Marco has – the years and the experience, and Marco's not horrible. He's really not. Like, outside of the PI that he gave up, he played really solid. But Keitrell Clark, very solid football player. It looks like a steal.
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like with Marco, like, obviously he's taken a step, right? He's taken a step from the past several years that he's been with the Arizona Cardinals. That PI was a PI. I'm not gonna say it was a
Absolutely.
PI. But yeah, I think he's definitely kind of coming into his own. I'm not sure if you saw that tweet earlier in the off season, basically saying like all the doubters, or he's like he loves the hate, proving the haters.
The typical NFL player tweet going out.
Yeah,
I'm out here to prove everybody wrong.
Pretty much, exactly. And so far with week 1, I mean, looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. Now Terry McLaurin wasn't 100%. Let's call it as it is. He wasn't a full because I think he's still kind of injured. But
yeah,
we'll see.
But if you're on the field, you're on the field. So I mean, you're only as good as your production at the end of the day. I mean, he did get boxed up, so you gotta call it how it is, even if you're not 100%.
What wide receiver are you worried about? Let's be honest. With the New York Giants, yeah.
Who do they have?
That's sad. Because I don't know either.
They have Darren Waller. I know, just got traded there. They have Darius Slayton, I believe. Who else? Paris Campbell.
That's what they're working with?
I believe so. They have Paris Campbell, Darren Waller, Darius Slayton,
Isaiah Hodgins,
Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins. Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Darren Waller, obviously, we struggled with the guard tight ends a lot. Let's call it how it is. But this is new defense, so maybe we can step up. And as long as Darren Waller and Saquon are contained slightly, I feel like there is no chance.
100%.
No chance. And that's a tall task, but there is no chance.
Well,
even if that run game's not, Darren Waller can do what he wants to do. As long as Saquon and the receivers are boxed, there is nothing for him. Nothing.
That's wild. Well, think about it, right? Let's say our defense does get 3 or 4 steps. That's enough to rattle any quarterback.
Absolutely.
Any quarterback, right? You're starting to second guess yourself with everything you do. So if we do get our guys back there and rattle Daniel Jones, man, we might be able to see. Wow. Okay, now I'm just gonna be super pumped up for this game because they are beatable.
They
are
are absolutely beatable. And if we have Kyler, oh my goodness, I wouldn't even second guess myself. It's just Josh Dobbs has me second guessing a little bit. But we have Kyler. I'm full confident blowout. And that's crazy coming from this team, but full confident blowout. This team wouldn't be able to compete with Kyler. I really believe that.
Dang. We got another contribution. No Fluff AZ Sports again with another super chat says Nick Rallis was rushing 2 and dropping back 9, still getting pressure. We got young innovator at DC.
Yeah. Man.
I think we don't give enough credit to Rallis, but because obviously Jonathan
players
Gannon
are doing their thing, and Jonathan Gannon, defensive minded head coach, but the DC is the one calling the plays, getting the players involved. He was doing his thing. He was cooking things up.
Dang. We had somebody in the chat says Dobbs equals tank. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I still think in terms of talent, he's slightly better than Clayton Tune. I would have liked to see Clayton Tune though, because rookie quarterback, you can only get better. It's hard to get worse. But I don't know. Like, I'm not the biggest Josh Dobbs believer, don't get me wrong, but It's hard to say that putting him in is tanking. Because if we're tanking, you probably rock with Clayton Tune because he's inexperienced and has never played an NFL snap in a regular season game. So that's probably tanking in my eyes. I would like to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to see the rookie behind quarterback, but that's probably tanking.
Yeah.
Or you start Colt McCoy and we cut him because he's not good anymore. Like, we would have rocked with Colt McCoy behind center. I promise you guys. Colt McCoy would have been QB1 going into it. He is not good anymore.
I heard I went to a few training camps and he was throwing interceptions a lot. Like a lot.
He's just washed. He's 38. It's time to just go hang him up and be with the family, or broadcast, I believe, is what he's looking into. So it's time to take the next step. Football is not his thing. And if it was, he would be behind center if we were trying to tank. And he's not. So you don't trade a 5th rounder for tanking.
So with the whole, obviously, I think a lot of people here on the channel kind of know where I'm coming from with the whole Clayton Tune, because I get where it's coming from. I don't think we're tanking regardless of who we're putting on there. But the defense wants to win. That's very obvious. But if they're trying to give Joshua Dobbs a fair chance, another opportunity makes sense, right? He's a veteran.
Yeah.
But it is kind of one of those things where like if I put myself in the shoes of the quarterback, Clayton Tune, like he did so much to get to this level. And it sucks that like they're not really looking his way, because truly we don't know what he is. I know a lot of people are looking at preseason and they're like, well, he didn't play very good in preseason. But like, if you think about it, he didn't play with number ones at all in preseason.
You're not
so
wrong.
How are you really comparing what Clayton Tune did if he didn't have his big wide receivers, right? Like your Pascal, your Michael Wilson. You also didn't have Marquise Hollywood Brown to throw to as well. So there's a lot of unknown. I think that's what's intriguing to Cardinal fans right now, because we know that what this year is going to be, right? Like deep down, we know there is some hot light at the end of the tunnel, but I think we're just looking for the future more than anything. Joshua Dobbs isn't going to sign a 2-year, 3-year deal with the Cardinals. Like, can we be honest here? He's not going to. So I think that's what Cardinal fans are looking for right now. Like, if we win, hell yeah. But if we don't, I don't know. I think we just want to see some intrigue.
Yeah, because we know who our QB1 is. And I really don't think Josh Dobbs will stay here and be a long-term backup. So give Clayton Tune as a rookie under a rookie contract. You might as well see what you have out of him, get him involved in the system. And if he pans out, you have a long-term backup. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Just in case Kyler goes down, you have someone to step in. And that could be Clayton Tune. He's a rookie. Just see what he has. It's not a bad option whatsoever. Long-term backup.
Our very own Brock Purdy. You never know.
Yeah, you never know until you play him. Brock Purdy, nobody in 1,000 years would have said Brock Purdy before week 1. Even 49ers fans wouldn't have said Brock Purdy was going to come in here and be transcendent. And here he is, out with 6 games in a row, winning playoff games and starting week 1. Phenomenal. Like, no one would have saw that. So who knows what Clayton Tune has.
Smacking the Steelers. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I know you wanted to dive into a little bit about Isaiah Simmons. Please do so right now. I know you're kind of, keeping an eye on him, because obviously that was one of the big trades and what started this whole controversy of tanking or no tanking. Let us know what Isaiah Simmons has done versus the Giants in week 1.
All right. So Isaiah Simmons with the big stats, with drum roll, please. 1 total tackle. That is it. And a 40-0 loss. So,
Ugh.
yeah,
So-
it's not a good game
yeah.
whatsoever. And I know some people in chat were spamming it already. Isaiah Simmons stinks. Like, it's tough. That's a first-round talent right there, is where he was taken, the 8th overall pick or wherever it was. So,
Yeah,
it
8th
hurts.
overall. It is crazy to hear, right? But I mean, obviously, it's week 1. We'll have to kind of wait and see it. But I think that's definitely a player that we're all very curious about in terms of like how his career is going to pan out. We're all fearing that if he does come out to be another Hassan Reddick, that's going to be another one like of us. We're like, oh no, why? But I mean, so far the week 1 hasn't looked so good, but that whole team didn't look good. So we'll see what will happen in week 2 because they're playing us. So
yeah, because it's hard to make a judgment on one player who's been there traded for literally a week or a week and a half or whatever it is. So it's hard. You know, I'm not going to sit here and just full judgment, but it's not a good game 1. Absolutely not a good game 1. So coming back to Arizona, he is playing back in Arizona. This is going to be our first home game. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in a little revenge game. Because Hassan Reddick, every time he plays us, he makes sure to get to the quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see what Simmons got, man. I'm curious.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the tight ends real quick. I don't think we actually mentioned it very much about, obviously Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, Jeff Swaim or Swaim, however you say his last name. What are your thoughts? Because I'm already hearing people saying if we're going to be using Zach Ertz multiple times or like the bulk of the time, it's tanking for us. Like everything is tanking. Like that's the alternative for people's minds right now. Like what is your thought on Zach Ertz right now compared to Trey McBride?
Obviously, I think personally, I would like to see Trey McBride get more action. I like having 2 tight ends on the roster. I really do. Is Zach Ertz a starting tight end in the league anymore? Who knows? Coming off an ACL tear, it's tough to make that judgment as well going into week 1. But I think Trey McBride should get the nod. We took him for a reason in the 2nd round, I believe. So you got to see what he's got. I would start him personally, but Zach Ertz does not equal tank.
Yeah. No, I agree
not
with
at
that.
all.
Looking at the snap count, I believe he had 77% of being that starting tight end there. And then Trey McBride was 37 on there. Obviously, there's times where they're on the field at the same time, but big difference, right? Big difference. They are still seeing Zach Ertz as that number 1 tight end right now. And right now, the season's still young, right? So although people are thinking that we're not going to do anything, right now, this coaching staff's mindset is we can still win, right? So that's the big thing. You're not going to sit Ertz down for Trey McBride if you feel like he's the number 1. So maybe later on we'll maybe start seeing if it goes south on us, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. But like, it's just this is such an intriguing season for me as a Cardinal fan, and kind of seeing how other Cardinal fans are out there, perceiving this season. Let me pitch something to you that kind of came to my mind right now. I know me and you, we're both big on Kyler Murray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me kind of say something that for some reason crossed my mind because of this whole chatter of Caleb Williams. Now, I'm not saying that I want to get Caleb Williams, but do you see a scenario where, and I'm just throwing this out there, right? No, I didn't hear this from anybody. Kyler Murray to the Jets because of Aaron Rodgers? Do you see a situation like that? Now, like I said, this has not been said. It just came in my crazy mind. I don't want to give up on Kyler Murray, but do you see a scenario where the Cardinals truly feel like they want to get Caleb Williams or another quarterback and start off fresh? Can that be a real thing?
What would we get back? Because they shipped out a ton of picks for Aaron, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think they had much.
Looking at what they did, it almost kind of seems like they swapped their first round picks. They did get a 2nd round pick, but it was a lot of conditional picks, like a lot late conditional pick, but they did get an extra 2nd for 2024, I believe. Do you think that something like down the line will that happen? I don't want that to happen. Trust me. I want Kyler Murray. I want the future. But if you think about it, if we're down 0-6, look, let's just say in the world where Kyler doesn't come back in week 7, what are you really asking him to do? Win 7 straight in a row and trying to get us in a playoff run? Like, what are we going to do? Or are we going to stay him for next year and not even think about quarterback?
I don't think he'll get traded. I really don't think he'll get traded unless the Jets are like, they pick up the phone and week 6 comes by and Kyler looks okay and they're willing to throw a massive haul, because I don't think this is it for him. I think they still have a lot of talent. That defense, top tier. That Jets defense is crazy. So do you buy in fully? Because it's tough, because Aaron Rodgers might be done. This might be it, which sucks because I love Aaron Rodgers. I love watching him play, but
it is terrible.
It could be it for him. You just got to be a realist. Personally, do I think Aaron Rodgers is going to call it up as a competitor he is? I don't think so, but it's also he hasn't had a surgery yet. He hasn't gone through rehab. You don't know. He was about to retire last season, so it's a tough call, especially because I'm not Aaron Rodgers, but I was watching Pat McAfee a little earlier, and AJ Hawk even said, and he's like, I don't see it happening. I don't see him retiring. I just don't know. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would just want to go out like this. Personally, so
it'd be a terrible way to go out.
It would be a terrible way to go out because that stadium was hyped yesterday. Bro. He came out with the American flag, ran to the 50, dapped up some of his teammates, and that stadium was rocking. They were full send for number 8. So to come out 4 plays in to see him go down, it sucks. But do they go all in once again for another injury-prone potential quarterback?
Well, how do you tell this defense? And I'm not saying it could be somebody else, right? Maybe they can trade for somebody else. But like, how do you tell this defense we're going to be rolling with Zach Wilson again?
You know, I say they play it out for 4 games, though. You know, because you can't really. It's hard. Granted, Zach Wilson did okay. I believe it was a touchdown, a pick, and 100-something yards. Zach Wilson came in. He helped them win the game. So that's a good Buffalo team. Granted, the defense was basically the main reason, and they won off a punt return. But I don't know what other quarterbacks would even be out there, even if it's not Kyler for that team.
And that's the thing. And the only reason why I said that, and like I said, I want to make sure I'm very, very, very clear that I do not want this to happen. But just because
that floated.
Yeah, if for some reason it popped into my head and I'm like, I swear if this I would be so pissed off. But I mean, the idea of that happening like would be because man, this fan base right now is as loud as I've ever heard. People want to get rid of Kyler Murray, right? And right now, Kyler Murray is at one point like was seen to be one of the most prolific quarterbacks, and in our eyes, we still think that he could be that, right? Give him a defensive or offensive line, help him get protected, and we still think he can get to that level. But I think that the realism of what if we do start? Let's say he gets off the PUP list, but he needs a couple weeks to kind of get ready and get this this playbook down, because people are already chattering about Dobbs, right? 2 weeks in, we're like, God, it's over. Right?
Yeah.
Imagine Kyler Murray that's getting paid over $200 million and he doesn't perform well. And we start off 0-6. And I'm just pitching scenarios out here, right? You're telling Kyler Murray, franchise quarterback, we're going to put you in week 7, win all these games. And if you don't win all these games,
it's not going to look good for you.
It's not going to look good either way. It's bad for Kyler Murray any which way. So I love the idea of him coming back, but realistically, if you're starting off 0-6, this defense, which is looking magnificent, they're going to lose some steam. They're going to start looking and being like, are you guys going to pull your weight? Because let's be honest, we're all humans, right? We all look at the other side of the grass and be like, we're doing what we can here, right? We're balling. We saw week 1. They're doing fantastic. And they look at the offense and they're like, bruh, you ain't pulling your weight. So like,
especially if it's 7 games in and you're performing at that level and you're consistently going to bat and you're putting up 14 points. You give up at some point, especially if you're 0-7. Like, how much fight do you really have?
Exactly. And that's the whole narrative of, you can't, like, players don't tank, right? Organizations tank. That's what people say. And it's true because you're right. You can put out your best defense out in the world, but if you can't score offense, it's moot. It's not going to work out for you. Let me get to this contribution. No Fluff AZ Sports is coming in here with a lot of donos. Thank you so very much. He says Kyler Murray will be traded to the Dallas Cowboys. He's a high school legend in Texas, and Jerry Jones is crazy enough to eat that contract. Watch.
I don't think so. They just went for Trey Lance. They have Dak Prescott. That's a lot of quarterbacks. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But the whole Texas connection is intriguing. But yeah, I don't want to get rid of Kyler. But man, dude, can you imagine 0-6 and we're bringing Kyler Murray back? It's
a tough situation for him, for everybody, because you're just throwing him into the fire. Win us games. We need you. You're the spotlight goes to Kyler at that point. If we're 0-6, the whole spotlight, all the blame will go to Kyler. That's how it is. I feel bad for him, but that's how it is. This whole fan base is just hawkeyeing Kyler. Like, okay, what are you going to do this season? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You haven't played. You're going to come back. And even if he starts bad, like as a realist, like he's probably not going to be that great for the first game or 2. He's coming off an ACL tear. You got to get the mind right first. The mind's got to be fully locked in. You got to take a couple hits. You got to make sure you're like football shape, and a hit will wake him up. You'll be like, okay, I can take those. That's fine. I'm back. But the first 2 games, he might start off rocky, and that will trigger this fan base. We haven't even seen him play a snap, and they're going berserk.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. It's just a lot of unknown, right? A lot of unknown from this organization. Obviously, we're both here for it. I can't speak for everybody in the chat. We're both here for it. We want to see what this organization can do. We want to see wins because, for the future and for the season, because the season's still live. It's literally 1 game in, and we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens. So, all right, Giants is the next opponent. We both agree that that is a winnable game. Definitely a winnable game here for the Cardinals. Let's move on over to the division. Let's talk about the division. I want you to start and let me know how you kind of felt what happened over this weekend. Did you feel like you saw that coming?
Absolutely not. The 49ers game, I think they're the best team in football. Just overall, it's them or Philadelphia. So the 49ers coming in and maybe smacking the Steelers the way they did and holding the Steelers to 1 or 2 yard at halftime. Didn't see that happening.
Crazy.
I don't think anybody saw that happening, but the 49ers winning doesn't shock me at all. But the Seattle Seahawks losing 30-13, who saw that coming? Right. Who saw the Rams coming in here dropping 30 points and getting a win? Not many people. That's a crazy game. What was your reaction to that one?
Yeah, no, I agree. I knew the 49ers were going to win. I didn't see how bad of a beatdown it was going to be. That's for sure. I did have the 49ers favored to win the NFC West, unfortunately. And I hate saying that because I always want to root for my Redbirds, but we got to acknowledge the elephant in the room and where we are at as an organization and roster and where we're at. So I did have 49ers as the leading favorites to win the West. I thought the Seahawks were going to be a close second, although that pains me to say because of a couple buddies that I have that are Seahawks fans and they're very obnoxious. So it pained me to say that, but I didn't expect the Rams to do that. I thought Stafford was washed. Although, I mean, truthfully, I don't think Stafford really did anything. I think it was more the run game. Is that correct? If we can look at the stats here,
Stafford threw for 334 yards.
He did. 24 of 38.
He played pretty good.
He did.
The arthritis or whatever he has in his elbow, just not phasing him, I guess. Came out here lighting it up.
Yeah. Insane. Yeah, I didn't expect that.
And they had 2 receivers over, both with 119 yards. They had Puka Nacua. Never heard of him. And then Tutu Atwell as well. 6 receptions, 119.
And then the next stop was their tight end, Tyler Higbee. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know any of these. Tutu Atwell, respectfully, I know he was coming out of the draft and they drafted him, not this last year, but I believe it was the year before.
2 years ago, 1 year ago?
Has it been? Something like that.
I think so.
But being that Cooper Kupp went down, right? Number one go-to for Stafford, you would kind of really think that they were kind of cooked and they were done.
Yeah.
But they came out and they balled.
You see Cam Akers and what he put up?
No, what did he do?
Stinker. 22 carries for 29 yards. Whoa. 1.3 a carry. That is one of the worst games I've seen in a while.
That's ugly. Okay, I do have the stats up. Is it Kyren Williams?
Kyren Williams.
Okay. 15 carries, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sheesh. Are we going to start seeing a change, right? In terms of maybe a new running back one for them?
We could, because Cam Akers is so iffy. He's super iffy. I'm not a fan of Cam Akers personally.
Wasn't there this whole big thing too? Wasn't he try to hold out for a bit from the Rams or something?
I'm not sure.
I feel like something was going on with Cam Akers and the Rams, and there was this whole big thing. I think it was last off season. I don't think it was this, or it might have been this off season. Everything started kind of blend in, but they might be trying to push his way out or something. Or he requested. I don't remember. Something happened with Cam Akers. Let me know in the chat if y'all guys remember. But the division is a little surprising. We're still 0-1, but there's still a little optimism.
There is optimism. There absolutely is, because if Seattle's going down like this to the Rams, I'm not saying we're going to come in here and beat anybody, but division games are unpredictable. So we can knock a couple of these off, win a couple games down the line. I don't know. I kind of have more optimism even on a loss, which is shocking. I have a lot of optimism.
It's weird. I know. Me too. It's really weird.
It's so weird. I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say we can make the 7th seed, but I have optimism of we can finish below that. I think the peak is 7th seed. That's just crazy. Yeah. Crazy talk is we can potentially be the 7th seed, but anywhere from the 7 to 9 is possible. we don't look that bad. We really don't.
Yeah, we don't. We absolutely don't. Yeah, you're right. It's just, when is Kyler coming back, and where are we at as an organization, right? Like, if we're 2-2, and I know, right? It's kind of hard to say we're 2-2, especially after this game. Cowboys, and then we got the 49ers.
Yep.
We know what they did. So I know it's kind of hard, but if we start 1-3, like, that's better than 0-4, right? That's a easier hill to climb than 0-4. Like, let's say
0-4, your season's basically over at that point. 1-3, you get another one, you're 2-3 and almost 500.
Well, let me ask you this. Now we're talking about a little bit about records. Obviously, we're only focusing on the first 4 games because that's what the PUP is, right? I mean, that's where we're kind of waiting for Kyler Murray to come back. Let's say we do start off 0-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see Kyler Murray coming back? Be honest. Let's say he's not
so.
coming back to like week 5.
I think so. I think they'll get him going. Yeah, because you got to evaluate him at the end of the day. Like, is Caleb Williams the guy we're going for? I no one knows. Like, it's a possibility. As much as we like Kyler, it's a possibility. You got to kind of weigh that out. And then the game that he would have to return off the PUP list would be against the Bengals. That is the earliest he can come back. That is.
Wait, we have
tough.
the Bengals after the 49ers?
Yeah. Bengals, Rams, Seahawks.
Dude, oh my God. We are not having good luck. Oh my God.
I know. But
the
Bengals didn't look great. Joe Burrow put up 89 yards. Not good. He got paid and just disappeared. I don't think he's going to play like that for the rest of the year. Not even close. I think Joe Burrow will bounce back. And by week 5, he'll probably be locked in and ready to go. But that's not a fun game to come back to.
Let's be honest. A lot of the offenses looked bad this first week.
They really did. The best quarterback today was Tua, or last week was Tua, and then who else? I can't think of like many quarterbacks who played elite level football. And there's probably some that just aren't coming to my head, but there weren't many people that just stand out, like teams that just stand out, players that stand out, offenses that look great. Like the Justin Jefferson looked good.
Oh yeah, that's
Justin Jefferson's going to do his thing.
And they got that rookie kid that they brought in. What is it, Addison?
Jordan Addison, I believe.
Addison.
Yeah.
Pretty good first game.
Absolutely.
Something on the chat is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor
Lawrence looked pretty good. He had like 240, I believe, and like 2 touchdowns. Not bad.
Yeah. Insane. Yeah. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens there. So, okay. Let's say, do you see, okay, I asked you this last week. Do you see, because I see it in the chat, Jonathan Gannon pulling Dobbs halfway if it's not working out? Do you see him, or do you feel like he's going to play him the whole game?
Dependent on how he's playing. If he's playing just like how he was last game, I don't think so. But if he's turning the ball over, because the fumbles came in the second half, so it's kind of hard to just pull him. But if he's playing a no turnover game, I don't think he'll get pulled. But if he's turning the ball over and gets like 2 picks, 2 either fumbles and interceptions, I think he could get pulled. I don't think there's much attachment. I don't think it's something that's, okay, you're going to ride out the whole game depending or regardless of how you're struggling. If we're down 17-0 or something and we're not getting anything going, just 3 and out, you might as well not leave him in there. Yeah. I don't know how realistic that is, but if he has 2 turnovers, that's the number I'm going to rock with. I would be keeping an eye out on Josh Dobbs getting pulled.
So you think Josh Dobbs is not going to have a clean game? You think 2 turnovers, or at least the offense in general?
I don't know if he'll get it, but that's the number that I'm watching out for. You know, like if it hits 2, I want Clayton Tune in the game. Yeah. Like I need him in the game at 2 turnovers because there's not much Josh Dobbs can do at that point. I don't want to see him in there, especially if he turns the ball over twice. Just Clayton Tune's got to come in. What do you think?
No, I agree. In terms, and I think you said that perfectly with the whole idea of like if he's playing a clean game. But like that's kind of what's concerning me too. Like, let's say he is having a clean game, right? Like in the first half, but like his yardage is like 149 yards to 70 yards. I still feel like that kind of is a consideration, but I feel like JG won't do it because of him being able to play a clean game. I do think that the turnovers and the 3 and outs might be more of a factor, of it. But if he's moving the ball up and down the field, I think it would be different. Do I want to see Clayton Tune? Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was excited about us drafting him. And I remember like when I posted that Jonathan Gannon said that, he's going to start off week 2, everybody kind of chattered at the idea of why did we even draft the quarterback then? Right. Let's address that real quick. I think the idea of drafting a quarterback, especially like Clayton Tune, was obviously potential, right? They saw potential in what this kid could be. 40 touchdowns. You don't do something like that if you don't have arm talent. Yeah, talent just in general, right? So I think the Cardinals obviously saw potential in him, but maybe they might be being a little bit more cautious because of the idea of NFL compared to collegiate, complete 2 different beasts. And they maybe want him to learn a little bit more. Although we heard JG saying they're interchangeable, right?
That's what I'm saying. That word right there just has me like, is he ready to get pulled? Is he ready to sub him in?
And that's the crazy thing. And I think that's what people are kind of clamoring onto, because if they're interchangeable truly, why not give him the nod, right? Why not give him the opportunity? But I do think that this game is going to be very telling. This game right here, because if we have a minimum of 4 games, no Kyler, it's going to be very telling that what Joshua Dobbs is going to do, because you never know, man. You never know.
Absolutely.
Let's see on the chat. Somebody on the chat says Caleb wants to be on a Super Bowl winning team, which would have the number 1 overall pick. That's crazy, right? And that's the thing. Like to us, I get where Caleb Williams is coming from, and the dad and the idea of going to an organization, but like we've seen organizations turn around with the right quarterback. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, although yes,
sure.
The Kansas City's Chiefs, like they've always been relevant, but like they always find the fine line of mediocrity. Their success.
They were like average until Patrick Mahomes came in. They were Super Bowl. And then they had years where they weren't average. They were like a little above average, but they were never Super Bowl caliber.
Yeah.
They had a Super Bowl caliber defense, but Alex Smith wasn't taking them. He just wasn't. That's what it is.
So
they had talent.
It happens, man. It's just
quarterbacks
go ahead.
Can come into bad teams though. Like you said, you have players like Jalen Hurts. The Eagles weren't horrible. They had talent, but Super Bowl appearance. And then you have teams like the 49ers, like we mentioned, the Bengals with Joe Burrow, the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. Like there's teams that one quarterback can shape it.
Yeah.
They can shape it. And the fact that Caleb will where would Caleb Williams even go? Like what team is a Super Bowl caliber team that's like, okay, we need a quarterback. We're going to go trade up for the number 1 pick. What team?
Because he's not going to be slipping past 1, 2.
Yeah, he's not going past 1. I think he's a consensus number 1, depending on who gets it.
Dang.
Depending. But what team is a Super Bowl caliber team that would be willing? Like the Vikings?
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I was thinking. But what are they going to give
Kirk
up?
Cousins doesn't do it this year. That fan base
He's a free agent, right? He's a free agent. So if they just throw a haul of picks, that's realistic, I guess. That's about it. That's really it.
I think you might be right. I think this might be his last year. Let me just confirm here.
Because outside of that, there's not many, at least Super Bowl teams. Maybe, because like the Commanders are in desperate need of a quarterback, I think. But is that a Super Bowl team? No, not at all. The Raiders need a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo won them a game, though, but they could use a quarterback. Is that a Super Bowl team? No. Like, there's just not many teams that are like the Cardinals are dysfunctional. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, we know what we are, but there's not many teams out there that are just going to go compete off the rip. You're going to have to build, and that's just what it is. And there's not many teams just willing to haul in picks. And the Vikings are literally like the only team that I'm seeing right now that makes sense.
I agree.
And how
Kirk Cousins does seem like this is his last year.
How realistic is it though?
I mean, they're always a team that's picking in the 20s, if not high teens. Like that ransom would be crazy. Like we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs go to like 12 or 11 to get Patrick Mahomes, but that was from 11. Like 27 or high 20s. And 12 is a big difference than 1, right? Yeah. Like that's gonna.
This is the best player in the draft, is what people are calling him. So. What could we get? We saw the haul for Trey Lance. That is a nasty haul.
And here's the thing, too. We got 2 chances. Like, even if we keep Kyler, let's say Kyler Murray goes on a spree and we're like, okay, yeah, you are our guy, man. Let's do it. And we are number 1 overall pick because of the Texans or the Cardinals. Boo! We're going to have first round picks for days.
And then say we tack on Marvin Harrison with a crap ton of picks. That is Whew, that looks great. Great.
Bolster our offensive line, maybe get a weapon.
Go get a guard, go get another tackle. Because DJ Humphries, we could ship him off somewhere. Maybe cut ties with him because he's cracking 30, if not already there.
I like DJ Humphries as a person, but like we might start seeing the Cardinals unload some of these players too. Like if you think about it, we talked about it in a couple other videos before, but like if you think about it, let's say it does go south, right? And here's the thing too, like you see the Cardinals trading away Ertz.
That's who I was just gonna say.
We
I
might not get a
think
lot.
Zach Ertz is one of those players that are maybe a 5th round pick, maybe a 5th.
Probably. But what about Hollywood? This is his contract year for Hollywood.
This is a
Do you need the
contract
Cardinals
year.
sign him? And that's the thing. Like that's gonna have repercussions because if we don't sign him back, Kyler's his buddy. What's Kyler gonna say?
That is a tough one because he's here because I'm assuming Kyler vouched for him. That's his guy. Like that, him and CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood Brown. That connection's high, so it's gonna be tough to. You're just letting my boy walk in free agency. Like you see the numbers he's putting up. Like he's doing good things, and you're just letting him walk. Like he might not want to be here.
Going back to the contribution, the Dallas Cowboys. I forgot CeeDee Lamb's over there.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I don't even know how that would look.
Yeah, that's crazy. Honestly, obviously, we're barely going into week 2. I know there's some Cardinal fans who are like, "What are you guys? What you're just jumping the gun?" But I mean, these are the things you kind of have to talk about, right? Like we know where we are at, and we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. It's just
it's not happening.
It's what it is. Let's see here. Sorry, you're good, man. Somebody on the chat says somebody compared the USC quarterbacks always being busts. Then we have one. Matt Leinart didn't work out.
Matt Leinart, not at all. He did not work out. So
yeah,
I don't know. That'd be crazy. I mean, I feel like Caleb Williams is definitely better than Matt Leinart. I think so
too. What is Caleb Williams is at now? Like, what is his stat sheet looking at right now? Last time he said it was like 9.
It was 9 touchdowns in 2 games, I believe. And let's see, how is he playing? He has 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 875 yards, and they are 3-0 with the next game against ASU.
Dang, no way.
Yeah. So
sheesh.
We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, somebody on the chat says we can't afford a huge contract for Hollywood. Well, I mean, technically, we probably can next year. Obviously, if it starts off next year, we probably can. But that's the thing. Like, if we're continuing to stay on this trend that we're doing, like, does it make sense to extend Hollywood, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, we got him for a 1st-round pick, which sucks because, like, that could have been a good, huge 1st-round pick, maybe a center for the future for us. And unfortunately, we didn't get. But, like, man, I'm just kind of so curious to figure out how the season's going to end because, like, it can be so many moving parts.
And we don't know. Like, Zach Ertz is a fringe player. Hollywood's a fringe player, I believe. DJ Humphries, I feel like, is another one of those players that you never know. And then one that would suck, but if the season's going bad and 0-6, could Budda Baker be gone?
That would hurt. But yeah, I mean, you're right. What if Budda doesn't want to go into a contending team?
That would suck. Just as a Cardinals fan, losing the heart and soul of the defense and the team in general, it would suck, but you could do right by him. He's 0-6. I mean, could we see it?
Ah, man. I guess let's get to the Giants first, right? A winnable game. Obviously, our conversation would maybe change next week, just depending on where we are at heading into week 3. But this game is telling, man. It is for multiple different reasons, right? Who's going to be QB1? And I get it. We're not talking about 2 steak dinners, right? 44. We're talking about rookie quarterback, 5th rounder, in a former 4th round pick, journeyman, always backup quarterback. Like, it's to think that Jonathan Gannon was trying to say sugar and say things like we got a competitive advantage. Like, bro, like if you think, come on, like we're not rolling with a secret Patrick Mahomes,
right? Like it helps, keep them on their toes a little bit. Like, are we getting a rookie? Are we getting Josh Dobbs? But even if you're the Commanders, you're probably like, they just traded a 5th round for this guy. Like, they're gonna play him.
Well, that's the thing. We needed Ian Rappaport to come out here and to save us, which we all kind of knew deep down it was going to be Josh Dobbs. Obviously, I was the one that was trying to preach it and putting into the worlds that I want to see our rookie. But like realistically, I get it, right? You don't want to ruin his confidence. He still needs a little bit more time. But like hearing the interchangeable, I bought too much into those words, and I was like, man, let's see what happens. But like maybe the Cardinals don't want a quarterback controversy when Kyler Murray comes back. What if Clayton Tune shines it up and Clayton Tune is like the next best thing out there? I don't know. I'm just
the next Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I'm just naming some stuff up at this moment. Let's get to this contribution. He says, if we draft Caleb, he will be our version of Mr. Butt Fumble, Mark Sanchez, USC quarterback. We don't need Caleb's drama. K1 is much more talented. What's your thoughts?
I feel like here's what's crazy. Like Caleb Williams is balling right now and they're killing teams. But people are quick to forget that Kyler looked just like this. He looked great in college. Now, maybe not just like this, but Kyler looked phenomenal in college. So it's hard. Like Kyler has also proven it at an NFL level. So it's hard to just ship that guy off for Caleb Williams. And I don't think he's going to be a bust. I don't think he'll be Mark Sanchez. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because you don't put up 56-10, 66-14, 56-28 with 12 touchdowns and almost 900 yards in 3 games if you're a bust. It's hard. Now, granted, he's not playing super elite schools, but he looks great. It's hard to discredit it.
I'm looking at, like, now that you mentioned, I never really actually took a time. I might have done this in 2019 when obviously the rumors were that we were going to go back-to-back quarterbacks. But looking at Kyler Murray's stats for his 2018 campaign, because 2017, it doesn't look like he was a starter. Very minimal stuff. When he was in Texas A&M, his numbers were very small. But 2018, when he was with Oklahoma, let's see here, over 4,300 yards, 42 touchdowns to 7 interceptions.
He looked great. And people are so quick to forget that. Like, it's going to be like the same thing. Like Kyler looked phenomenal in college, and we just bring another guy and he's got to develop. He's not going to come in here and just light the league up. At least I don't think so. Depending on where he goes.
Right. Let me look at Caleb Williams' stats, because I know he's been the starter for them for a bit. He's having a crazy year this year. That's for darn sure. He's having a good year for USC. Let's see what he did before. So 2022, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 4,500 yards. And he was in Oklahoma in 2021. Doesn't look like he was much of a starter, unless he was. He only had 21 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in 20, and he was playing for Oklahoma, apparently. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so for 2022, he had a really good year with USC. Obviously, it's not the biggest conference, but he's trending into the 2023 to maybe do it back-to-back. So I think that's why a lot of people are really intrigued with him. But man, just the idea of like, let's just see what Kyler does, and then we'll make our decision.
Yeah, it's hard to jump the gun when you don't know what your franchise quarterback or hopeful franchise quarterback even looks like.
Right. Because something in the chest is Blau would have been better than Dobbs.
Honestly,
maybe. But I was killing.
I don't know if that's a crazy statement.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see David Blau on the team.
Me too. I was bummed out that we cut him.
I was too.
Yeah,
that's the one play. Him and McDonald were like the 2 players that I was like, gotta get him back. And then Dobbs is in like New York right now or something, and it sucked not seeing him make that practice squad. I wanted him back.
What about Shedeur Sanders? He's been like, he's not even. I don't think he's going to be even in this year's draft, right? I think he's still too young, right?
Am I wrong? I'm not sure, but he looks incredible. I know I brought him up like 2 collabs ago or like 2 podcasts ago. He looks great. Like, is that going to be a conversation? Is he draft eligible? I don't know, but
we gotta look into that.
If he is, he looks great. He looks insane. He's making Heisman type plays. They're winning games that people are already writing him off as not winning at the beginning of the year. Colorado's win margin, I believe, is 3.5. They're already at 2. And they play USC this year too. So
that's gonna. Do they really play USC? That's gonna be tuned into that.
I'm not even a college fan, but that game is getting watched. That is Caleb Williams versus Sanders, and that defense. Must see TV.
Interesting. All right. Well, we have made it to the hour mark, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us. Everybody here in the chat, thank you so very much. We are going to close up shop here. Talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers and the unfortunate circumstances that the Jets are going through. Talked about Cardinals, obviously Josh Dobbs getting the nod for week 2. Talked a little bit about Isaiah Simmons and kind of what to expect for the Giants, and hopefully this might be a winnable game. We also talked about the division as well. Any last thoughts, Mythic, on your end before we close shop?
I think we basically covered everything. I think we're good.
All right. Perfect. Everybody, appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you guys haven't already smacked the like button, definitely do me a huge favor. Smack the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you like the content. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day. Let me just do one thing here real quick, and then we will... Oh, yeah. All right, y'all. Peace out. Later.
Peace.